When you hear the words, let go, most people think it means giving up. They think it means losing something, walking away from something, or abandoning a goal. But in the quantum world, letting go means something completely different. It means releasing your old frequency so your new reality can find you. The quantum door does not open when you chase it. It opens when you stop dragging the weight of your past versions behind you. And the moment you truly let go, the universe shifts around you so silently, so perfectly, that it almost feels like magic. But it is not magic. It is alignment. In today's lesson, we are going deep into the truth most people never discover in their entire life. You cannot enter a new timeline with the emotional baggage of your old one. You cannot step into a higher frequency using the energy that created your lower one. This is why letting go is not weakness. It is the highest form of self-mastery, because it demands trust, surrender, and courage. And once you understand this, you will stop forcing things that don't belong to your future. You will stop holding doors open that are trying to close, and you will finally understand that letting go is not losing. It is giving the universe permission to guide you to something greater. Let's begin. 1. You cannot carry old energy into a new reality. Every version of you exists like overlapping timelines, each one stretching out in a different direction, each one offering a different possible future. You can imagine them like invisible paths waiting quietly around you. Some of these paths lead to peace, confidence, success, emotional freedom, and a higher state of being. Others lead to the same cycles, the same pain, the same habits that drain you. But here is what most people never understand. You cannot step onto a higher path while carrying the emotional weight of a lower one. Each timeline vibrates at a different frequency, and your energy determines which one you align with. Holding on to resentment, fear, disappointment, or insecurity keeps you anchored to the timeline where those emotions were created. And as long as you stay tied to that frequency, you keep reliving the same versions of your story, even if your mind says you want something different. Think of it like trying to climb a mountain while carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. At first, you believe the climb is difficult because the mountain is steep. You think the journey is slow because the terrain is rough. But eventually, the truth reveals itself. It's not the mountain holding you back. It's what you're carrying. Yet most people never question the weight. They complain about the struggle, but never ask, what am I still holding on to that I no longer need? This is the same challenge we face when trying to enter a new reality. We want a new outcome while still carrying the emotions, beliefs, and attachments of our old identity. In the quantum field, those stones represent everything you haven't released. The grudges you hold on to even though they drain you, the memories you replay even though they break you, the people you cling to even though they no longer fit your destiny, the versions of yourself you continue to protect even though they limit your potential. These energies attach to you like emotional gravity. They pull you backward every time you try to move forward. They slow your momentum. They distort your clarity. They create resistance in your path, not because the universe is blocking you, but because you're dragging pieces of your past into a future that wasn't built for them. When you finally decide to let go, to genuinely release the stories, habits, attachments, and identities you've outgrown, something extraordinary happens. The world doesn't suddenly become easier. Instead, you become lighter. You begin to realize that the universe was never against you. It was your own emotional luggage weighing you down. The moment you drop that weight, the quantum door doesn't magically fly open. It simply becomes accessible. Your hands are finally free to turn the handle. The door was never locked, you were just too burdened to open it. When your internal energy shifts, your external reality reorganizes itself to match that shift. And this is the moment you begin stepping into the timeline that was waiting for the version of you who no longer carries what once broke you. 2. Letting go is a signal to the universe that you are ready. Most people believe that letting go is something passive, something you do when you have no choice left, something you reach for only when everything else has failed. But in the language of the universe, letting go is not weakness, it is a powerful declaration. It is a signal that tells the quantum field, I am ready for a new reality. I am no longer tied to what once defined me. The universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your energy. You can say you want a fresh start, but if you are still emotionally holding on to what hurt you, your energy sends the opposite message. You may say you want peace, but if you cling to old anger, the universe reads that as an attachment to conflict. You may say you want love, but if you hold on to fear, the universe responds to that fear, not to your desire. Letting go is the moment your internal state finally matches what your higher self has been calling you toward. It is the shift from begging life to change, to becoming the kind of person who can actually receive that change. When you release old energy, whether it is a person, a belief, a memory, or a version of yourself, you simultaneously create space within your vibration. And the universe always fills the space you create, but it cannot give you what you do not have room for. It cannot pour abundance into a heart still full of scarcity. It cannot send you aligned relationships when you are still holding emotional contracts with people who drain you. It cannot guide you into a higher timeline when you cling to a story that belongs to a lower one. Think of your life as a house. You may want new furniture, new colors, a new design, a fresh atmosphere. But if you refuse to remove the broken pieces, the old fabric, the clutter you no longer need, there is no space for anything new to enter. The universe works in the same way. Most people are desperate for a new chapter while still refusing to close the old one. Letting go is the way you tell the universe, I trust where you are leading me more than I fear what I am leaving behind. And something incredible happens the moment you genuinely send that signal. The energy around you begins to shift. People who were blocking your growth quietly fade away. Situations that felt stuck begin to move again. Opportunities you never imagined suddenly appear. It is not because the world has magically changed. It is because you have aligned your energy with a higher trajectory. Letting go raises your frequency, and the universe matches that frequency with events, people, and timelines that resonate with it. This is why things often show up only after you stop chasing them. The universe cannot deliver what you are suffocating with attachment. When you release the need to control, the need to force, the need to hold on tightly, you enter a flow state where life begins to work with you instead of against you. Detachment is not indifference. It is clarity. It is the realization that what is truly meant for you will come with ease, and what is not meant for you will feel heavy, confusing, or draining. Letting go is not you giving up, it is you leveling up. It is you choosing alignment over attachment, growth over comfort, and trust over fear. When you release the energy that has expired, the universe immediately recognizes your readiness for expansion. And that is when doors begin to open, not through force, but through resonance. The quantum door is sensitive to energy, not desperation. It opens for the person whose frequency says, I am ready. 3. The door you're pushing might be the wrong one. One of the greatest sources of suffering in human life comes from pushing on doors that were never meant to open for us. We convince ourselves that if we try harder, sacrifice more, wait longer, or force the situation with enough effort, eventually it will work out. We believe that persistence alone can bend reality. But in the quantum world, the right door does not respond to force. It responds to alignment. The wrong door can consume years of your life without moving even an inch. And yet, people stay stuck, pushing it because the ego hates the idea of letting go. It hates accepting that something or someone is not meant for the next chapter of your life. The ego would rather struggle in the wrong place than surrender and make space for what is meant. Think about how many times you tried to make something work that drained you emotionally. Maybe it was a relationship where you kept giving, hoping the other person would finally change. Maybe it was a job or dream that once had meaning but no longer matches who you've become. Maybe it was a version of yourself you kept trying to force into the world, even though you outgrew it long ago. You kept pushing because you thought effort would eventually unlock the door. But the universe doesn't reward force, it rewards alignment. And sometimes the struggle is not a sign that you need to try harder. It's a sign that you are pushing in the wrong direction. In the quantum field, every door, every opportunity, every person, and every timeline carries its own vibration. When something is aligned with you, it feels natural. It unfolds smoothly. It doesn't drain your energy, it expands it. But when something is misaligned, you feel it in your body. Your intuition becomes tight. Your thoughts become heavy. The process feels unnatural. The flow collapses. These are not signs of failure, they are signs of protection. The universe blocks the wrong doors to redirect you toward the right ones. But if you ignore the signs and continue forcing what was meant to fade, you trap yourself in timelines that limit your growth. Imagine standing in a long hallway with many doors. Some are glowing faintly, inviting you forward. Others are dark, signaling that there is nothing inside for you anymore. But because one particular door is familiar, you keep knocking on it, hoping it will open again. You don't realize that its chapter in your story is complete. And while you keep knocking on that old door, you are blind to the brighter doors waiting behind you, the doors that lead to new people, new opportunities, new versions of yourself. The hallway of your life does not end at the door that stopped opening. But the longer you stay there, the longer you delay your evolution. Letting go of forcing the wrong door is not about quitting. It is about recognizing that the universe is smarter than your attachments. It sees the paths you cannot see. It knows what will grow you, elevate you, challenge you, and fulfill you. When a door refuses to open, no matter how hard you try, that is divine guidance disguised as resistance. It is life whispering, "This is not your path anymore. There is something better ahead." The moment you stop pushing the wrong door, the hallway expands, the light shifts. You begin to notice openings that were invisible before because your energy was consumed by misalignment. And here is the deeper truth. The right door often requires less effort, not because it is easier, but because it matches your frequency. It fits who you are becoming. It supports your expansion, instead of limiting it. The right door doesn't drain you, it elevates you. It doesn't close when you approach it, invites you inside. The wrong door will always feel like a battle. The right door feels like recognition. This is where you were meant to be all along. Letting go of forcing what isn't meant for you is one of the most powerful spiritual decisions you will ever make. It frees you from timelines of struggle and opens pathways to timelines of alignment. And when you finally stop knocking on a door that refuses to open, the universe reveals the one that was silently waiting for you. 4. Your identity must die before your new reality is born. One of the most difficult truths to accept, yet one of the most liberating, is that you cannot enter a new reality while carrying the identity built from your old one. Every timeline in the quantum field requires a certain version of you to access it. Your future self lives in a reality that your current self may not yet be prepared to enter. And this is why letting go is not just about releasing people, memories, or emotions. It is about releasing the version of yourself who was shaped by them. Your identity is not just who you believe you are. It is also the collection of stories you repeat, the habits you live by, the fears you protect, the insecurities you refuse to confront, and the limitations you unknowingly carry. When you say, "This is just how I am," you are not describing your true self. You are describing the self you became in response to your past. But that self was created for survival, not for expansion. And as long as you cling to that version of yourself, you remain locked inside the timeline where that identity was built. Think about how many beliefs you inherited, not chosen, but inherited. Beliefs like, "I am not enough, I don't deserve more, people always leave, life is always difficult," or "I have to suffer to succeed." These beliefs shape your identity. They condition your behavior. They decide how much love you accept, how much abundance you allow, how much joy you feel comfortable with, and how much peace you believe you deserve. You are not trapped by your circumstances. You are trapped by the identity that keeps recreating those circumstances. The universe cannot give you a higher life while you are still committed to the outdated identity that matches your old one. Imagine trying to bring a new operating system into a computer that is still running outdated software. No matter how advanced the new program is, it cannot function properly until the old version is uninstalled. Your mind works the same way. Upgrading your reality requires upgrading your inner identity. And upgrading your identity requires letting the old one die. This is why letting go feels terrifying. It feels like losing control. It feels like stepping into the unknown. It feels like dissolving a part of yourself that has been with you for years. But what you are actually losing is the version of you created by fear, rejection, trauma, societal expectations, or emotional wounds. You are not losing your true self. You are shedding everything that buried your true self. The grief you feel during transformation is not grief for who you are. It is grief for who you no longer need to be. Picture a snake shedding its skin. The old skin served a purpose. It protected the snake at one time, but eventually, if the snake doesn't shed it, the skin becomes too tight and begins to suffocate it. Growth becomes impossible. In the same way, your old identity once protected you. It helped you survive difficult moments. It kept you safe in environments that were not safe for your authentic self. But now, that identity has become too tight. It limits your vision, your potential, and your evolution. You cannot grow inside a self you have already outgrown. Transformation requires death, not physical death, but the death of limitation, the death of ego-based identity, the death of the story that no longer matches your potential. This is why spiritual growth feels like falling apart before it feels like rising. You are not breaking down, you are breaking open. You are not losing yourself. You are returning to the self buried beneath the layers of who you were taught to be. Once that old identity dissolves, something remarkable happens. The quantum door begins to respond to you. Your vibration rises. New opportunities start appearing, not because life suddenly changed, but because you changed the version of yourself showing up to life. The identity that feared taking risks is replaced by one that trusts the universe. The identity that felt unworthy is replaced by one that finally believes in abundance. The identity that held on to pain is replaced by one that values inner peace over old wounds. Your new reality cannot begin until your old identity ends. And letting go of that old identity is the initiation. It is the price of admission into a higher life. You don't become a new person by wishing for change. You become a new person by releasing the version of you who kept you stuck. And in that moment of inner death, the quantum door opens, not for the person you were, but for the person you are becoming. 5. Detachment isn't apathy, it's mastery. One of the most misunderstood concepts in spiritual and emotional growth is detachment. Many people hear the word and immediately assume it means not caring, becoming cold, shutting down emotionally, or disconnecting from life. But genuine detachment is the exact opposite. It is not the absence of emotion, it is the mastery of emotion. It is the ability to stay centered, balanced, and grounded, no matter what happens around you. Detachment is the skill of loving deeply without losing yourself, giving your best without forcing outcomes, and participating fully in life without allowing life to control your inner state. Most people struggle with letting go because they confuse attachment with love, attachment with passion, or attachment with loyalty. But attachment is not love. Attachment is fear, operating in disguise. It is the belief that you must hold on tightly or you will lose something you think you cannot live without. It is the belief that if you do not control every detail, everything will fall apart. Attachment always comes from insecurity. It creates anxiety, obsession, overthinking, and emotional dependence. And the more attached you are, the more your energy becomes tangled with fear. But detachment frees you from that fear. It helps you stand in your own energy without collapsing into someone else's or into the pressure of life circumstances. Detachment allows you to participate without clinging, to desire without desperation, and to love without losing your identity. When you operate from detachment, you no longer beg the universe for outcomes. Instead, you show up aligned, confident, and receptive, trusting that what is meant for you cannot pass you by, and what is not meant for you cannot be forced to stay. Imagine holding sand in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. Not because the sand dislikes you, but because your grip is unnatural. The pressure creates the loss, but when you open your hand gently, the sand remains. In the same way, attachment suffocates the very things you want to preserve. It creates tension, fear, jealousy, control, and emotional exhaustion. Detachment is the open palm. It allows life to stay with you because it feels free in your presence rather than imprisoned by your expectations. In the quantum field, attachment is heavy energy. It vibrates with fear, insecurity, and lack. It signals to the universe that you do not actually believe you are supported. It tells the universe, I don't trust your timing, so I must cling to my own. But detachment sends the opposite message. It signals that you trust abundance, trust timing, trust your path, and trust that alignment is more powerful than effort. The universe responds to detachment because detachment matches the frequency of flow. And flow is how energy moves when it is not blocked by fear. Detachment does not mean you stop caring about outcomes. It means you stop trying to control outcomes. It does not mean you become indifferent toward people. It means you stop tying your emotional stability to their actions. It does not mean you stop dreaming big. It means you stop forcing your dreams to unfold exactly the way you imagine. Detachment gives you the inner freedom to adapt, to evolve, to receive guidance, and to trust the unfolding process without collapsing under pressure. With detachment, you begin to understand that life is not happening against you. It is happening through you. You begin to see that everything that leaves your life is clearing space, and everything that enters your life is responding to your growth. You no longer chase what is not flowing. You no longer hold on to what feels heavy, and you no longer cling to what hurts. You meet life with open hands instead of clenched fists. And in this state, something remarkable happens. Doors begin to open effortlessly. The things you used to chase start moving toward you. Not because you wanted them more, but because you finally removed the fear blocking them. Your energy becomes magnetic instead of desperate. People feel safer around you. Relationships become healthier. Opportunities feel natural, and your path becomes clearer. You start attracting situations that resonate with your self-worth rather than your self-doubt. Detachment aligns you with abundance, while attachment traps you in scarcity. When you detach, you reclaim your power. You reclaim your peace. You reclaim your ability to choose rather than react. You reclaim your identity from the hands of external forces. Detachment is not losing emotion. It is gaining control over it. It is not losing passion. It is removing fear from passion. It is not losing interest in life. It is learning how to engage with life from a place of strength rather than desperation. And in this state of emotional mastery, the quantum door finally recognizes your vibration. It does not open for people who cling, who fear, who chase, or who depend on external validation for their worth. It opens for those who trust. It opens for those who allow. It opens for those who have surrendered their need to control the outcome and instead chosen to align with their highest evolution. Detachment is not apathy, it is mastery. It is the art of letting go without losing love, the art of caring without collapsing, the art of trusting without needing proof. And once you master this, the universe rearranges itself in ways you could never force through fear. 6. The quantum door opens in the moment of surrender. There is a moment in every transformation where effort must give way to surrender. Not surrender as in defeat, not surrender as in giving up, but surrender as in releasing resistance. This is the moment most people fear the most, because the ego is built on control. It believes that if it does not grip tightly, push harder, or micromanage every outcome, everything will fall apart. But the truth is the opposite. It is the ego's grip that blocks the flow. It is the constant tension of trying to force life into your expectations that prevents life from delivering what is actually meant for you. And this is why the quantum door opens not through force, but through surrender, because surrender aligns you with the intelligence of the universe rather than the limitations of your fears. Think about how exhausting it is to hold on to things that are no longer aligned with your growth. You repeat the same thoughts, replay the same scenarios, question the same decisions, and cling to the same people, even when your intuition whispers that it is time to move on. You stay attached to what hurts because you fear what will happen if you release it. You hold on to stories that limit you because they feel familiar. You cling to timelines that have expired because you can't imagine yourself outside of them. And every moment you resist letting go, the door to your new reality remains closed, not because the universe is punishing you, but because you are not yet vibrating at the level required to open it. Surrender is the moment you stop fighting the flow of life. It is the moment you stop insisting that your plans must unfold exactly as you want. It is the moment you accept that the universe has a wider perspective than your mind ever will. You begin to understand that what feels like loss is often redirection, that what feels like confusion is preparation, and that what feels like emptiness is actually space being created for something greater. Surrender allows you to loosen the grip you have on the old timeline so your energy can rise into the new one. Without surrender, your past continues to bleed into your future. With surrender, you step forward with clarity, strength, and alignment. Imagine a river flowing around a rock. The rock represents your resistance, your fear, your attachments, your desire to control everything. The water represents the universe. The river does not stop because the rock is in its way. It simply flows around it, adapting, shifting, finding a new path. But you are not the water, you are the one trying to stand firm like the rock. You resist movement, you resist change, you resist the natural current that is trying to guide you toward a timeline that matches your evolution. When you surrender, you stop being the rock. You become the water. You move with life instead of against it. And the moment you become the water, the universe begins clearing paths you did not even know existed. Surrender also means accepting that you do not need to have all the answers right now. You do not need to know how your future will unfold to trust that it will unfold in your favor. You do not need to predict every outcome to feel safe. You do not need to cling to what is familiar simply because the unknown feels intimidating. True surrender replaces anxiety with trust, fear with openness, tension with presence. It gives you permission to rest in the knowing that you are guided, supported, and protected by forces far wiser than your own mind. And here is the quantum truth. The door to your new reality is motion, activated by surrender. It responds not when you fight, not when you beg, not when you force, but when you release. It opens when you say, I trust. It opens when you say, I am ready to be led. It opens when you stop trying to shape your future with the wounded hands of your past. It opens when your energy rises high enough for the universe to match it with new experiences, new people, new opportunities, and new timeline. What you surrender creates space for what you are meant to receive. The moment you stop clinging to the outcome you think you need, you become available for the outcome that is actually aligned with your destiny. Surrender is the most powerful form of letting go because it shifts your identity from someone who tries to control life to someone who flows with it. When you surrender, you move from resistance to alignment, from fear to trust, from tension to expansion. And in that exact moment, the quantum door, silent, patient, waiting, finally swings open. Not because you forced it, because you aligned with it. 7. The moment you let go, your life reorganizes itself around a higher timeline. There is a profound moment in every person's life when letting go becomes more than an emotional release. It becomes a spiritual recalibration. It is the moment where everything you have been holding tightly, everything you have been trying to fix, everything you have been forcing, suddenly feels lighter because you finally understand that your worth, your future, and your peace were never meant to depend on things outside your control. When you reach this moment, you begin to feel a shift so deep and subtle that you almost miss it. But the shift is real. It is the beginning of an energetic reorganization where the universe starts rearranging your life to match the new frequency you have stepped into. Most people assume their life changes when circumstances change, but the truth is the opposite. Circumstances change when you change. Reality bends to the vibration you hold, and when you let go, truly let go of attachments, expectations, old identities, stale connections, worn-out stories, and timelines that no longer match your evolution, you send a clear signal to the universe that you are no longer anchored to your past. This signal is not spoken through words, but through energy. It is the signal that your inner frequency is rising, and the universe responds to frequency faster than it responds to anything else. Think of your life as a constellation. Every relationship, every opportunity, every challenge, every habit, every belief is a star in that constellation. While you cling to the old version of yourself, your constellation remains arranged in a way that reflects your past. But the moment you let go, the constellation shifts. Old stars fade, new stars appear, new paths illuminate, and the entire shape of your life subtly reorganizes to match the new vibration you are living in. It does not happen all at once. It begins with small internal changes, greater peace, a quieter mind, sharper intuition, emotional neutrality, and then it begins to manifest externally. You may suddenly feel drawn to new interests. You may start noticing people who were invisible to you before. You might lose interest in things that once consumed your attention. You may feel pulled toward unfamiliar environments, new opportunities, or unexplored parts of yourself. These shifts are not random, they are the universe responding to your new frequency. Letting go clears the static that blocked the signals of your higher timeline. Suddenly, what is meant for you becomes easier to recognize. Sometimes, letting go requires a period of stillness. You may feel like nothing is happening at first, but stillness is not stagnation, it is recalibration. It is the universe quietly rearranging the pieces of your life behind the scenes. It is preparing people to meet you, aligning circumstances to support you, dissolving obstacles that once stood in your way, and unlocking paths that could not open while you were attached to the old timeline. The silence, after letting go, is not emptiness, it is rearrangement. It is the space where the past dissolves and the future begins to take shape. There is a moment, however, when the external world starts to reflect the internal work you have done. You begin to encounter synchronicities, small signs, coincidences, symbols, or sudden clarity. You meet someone who offers a direction you were seeking. An opportunity arises that matches your new frequency perfectly. A decision you were struggling with becomes effortless. A door you thought was permanently closed opens without you touching it. These are not accidents. They are energetic confirmations. They are the universe saying, now that you have let go, I can finally give you what is aligned. Letting go removes the blockages that once distorted your path. Attachment shrinks your perception. Letting go expands it. Attachment blinds you to possibilities. Letting go reveals them. Attachment keeps you chained to the same emotional loops. Letting go frees your mind to explore new realities. In the quantum field, holding on is stagnation, letting go is evolution, and evolution always attracts new timelines, because higher versions of you cannot live inside lower frequency realities. When you let go, you stop trying to make life bend to your will and begin allowing it to guide you. You stop forcing things to stay the same and start opening yourself to transformation. You stop living from fear and start living from trust. This shift becomes the magnet for your new timeline. Suddenly, the people who belong in your next chapter find you effortlessly. The desires you once chased begin gravitating toward you naturally. The opportunities that match your higher frequency unfold synchronistically, not because you forced them, but because you aligned with them. Letting go is not an ending. It is the activation of a new beginning. It is the moment the universe says, you have released what no longer serves you. Now you are ready for what will elevate you. And as your life reorganizes around your higher timeline, you will look back one day and realize that the things you were afraid to release were the very things blocking the abundance, peace, clarity, and purpose you were always meant to step into. The moment you let go, the quantum door does not just open, it pulls you forward. It invites you into a timeline where you are no longer shaped by survival, but guided by alignment. And once you walk through that door, you will never want to return to the version of yourself who believed that holding on was the only way to be safe. Because now, you know the truth. Your life expands every time you let go. 8. Letting go is how you reclaim the power that was always yours. There comes a point in every person's life where they must face a difficult truth. Most of the suffering you carry does not come from what happened to you, but from how tightly you keep holding on to it. The memories, the disappointments, the heartbreaks, the betrayals, the expectations that were never met, the promises that were never fulfilled. These experiences may have shaped you, but they were never meant to define you forever. Yet many people continue to replay them in their mind, dragging their old wounds into their new chapters, not realizing that the very act of holding on is what keeps them stuck in the same emotional loop. And this is why letting go is not just a spiritual concept. It is an act of reclaiming your power from everything that once controlled your inner world. When you hold on to the past, you give it authority over your future. You allow old versions of yourself hurt, insecure, fearful, uncertain to make decisions for the version of you who is trying to grow. You allow people who no longer exist in your life to influence how you view love, trust, opportunity, and self-worth. You allow situations that ended long ago to continue shaping how you show up today. This is how power slips away quietly, not because someone took it, but because you handed it to memories that do not deserve a seat in your current reality. Letting go is the process of taking that power back. It is the moment you stop waiting for closure from the outside world and create closure from within. It is the moment you stop allowing past experiences to dictate your emotional reactions. It is the moment you refuse to let old narratives decide your worth. Letting go is not forgetting what happened. It is choosing not to let what happened continue to define who you are becoming. This shift in identity is where true empowerment begins. Think about how much mental, emotional, and spiritual energy gets trapped in holding on. Every time you revisit a painful memory, every time you imagine a different outcome, every time you argue with a version of someone who is no longer in your life, you are draining your life force. You are using your energy to maintain a story that ended long ago. And the longer you hold on to it, the more your mind becomes conditioned to believe that the past still has control over you. But the moment you let go, you interrupt that cycle. You redirect your energy back toward yourself, back toward your healing, back toward your evolution. Letting go allows you to reconnect with the parts of yourself that got buried under pain. Your intuition becomes sharper because it no longer competes with fear. Your self-worth rises because it is no longer tied to old wounds. Your clarity increases because your mind is not clouded by emotional noise. Your energy becomes lighter because you stop carrying the weight of what was never meant to stay. This is not a small shift. It is a complete transformation of the inner world that shapes your outer reality. In the quantum field, power is connected to presence. The more present you are, the more aligned you become with your higher timeline. But holding on keeps you stuck in the past, dragging your vibration downward and clouding your ability to step into the future that is calling you. Letting go pulls you back into the present moment where your true power has always lived. It aligns your frequency with possibilities instead of limitations. It frees you from the emotional gravity that held you down. It allows the quantum door to recognize your new vibration and open to the experiences that match it. Letting go also teaches you something essential. Not everything lost is a loss. Some things fall apart so you can rise. Some people leave so you can grow. Some situations collapse so you can rebuild yourself with stronger foundations. Some endings are not punishments, they are redirections from the universe, guiding you toward a timeline that was always meant for you. And once you understand this, once you see that letting go does not diminish you but expands you, you begin to view your past through a lens of empowerment rather than pain. When you reclaim your power through letting go, you stop reacting and start choosing. You stop repeating old patterns and begin creating new ones. You stop living from wounded impulses and start living from conscious intention. Your emotional world becomes something you master rather than something that overwhelms you. You experience life from a place of self-trust rather than self-doubt. This is what it means to reclaim your power, not by fighting, not by forcing, not by proving anything, but by releasing everything that has been holding the highest version of you hostage. Letting go is not the end of your story, it is your return to authorship. The moment you release what no longer belongs in your hands, you become available for everything that was always meant to find you. And in that moment, the quantum door does not simply open, it recognizes you, responds to you, and reveals the path that matches your true power, your true frequency, and your true future. When you look back at your life, you will realize that the moments that truly transformed you were not the times you gained something, but the times you released something. You did not grow because everything stayed the same. You grew because something in you decided that the old way of living could no longer carry the weight of who you were becoming. Letting go is not a single action. It is an identity shift. It is the process of releasing every layer that does not belong to your highest self. It is the quiet recognition that clinging to the past only delays the future that is waiting with open arms. The quantum door, the gateway into your higher timeline, does not respond to the version of you who is afraid, who is holding tightly to what hurts, who is replaying old stories, or who is forcing life to unfold in familiar patterns. That door responds to the version of you who is ready to trust the unknown, ready to detach from what drains your soul, ready to surrender control, ready to shed the identity shaped by survival and step into the identity shaped by purpose. You cannot walk into a new life while dragging the chains of your old one. You cannot access the highest timeline while protecting the wounds of the lowest one. Every lesson you have learned about letting go is an invitation, a call from the universe, asking you to meet yourself at a higher level. You let go of old energy because it no longer matches your vibration. You let go of forcing the wrong doors because you know aligned doors open effortlessly. You let go of old identities because you are no longer the person who needed them. You let go of attachment because your power grows when your fear dissolves. You let go of control because surrender aligns you with something far wiser than your mind. And through all of this, something extraordinary happens. Your reality reorganizes itself around the version of you who no longer lives in the past. Letting go does not mean you lose. It means you finally stop losing yourself. It means you step into the path that matches your worth instead of your wounds. It means you choose alignment over fear, evolution over familiarity, and trust over attachment. And when you make that choice genuinely, wholeheartedly, intentionally, the universe responds instantly. The old timelines collapse, energetic weight lifts from you, new opportunities begin to appear, clarity replaces confusion, peace replaces anxiety, expansion replaces stagnation. You begin to see that the universe was not withholding anything from you. You were holding on to things that left no space for your blessings to enter. There is a version of you on the other side of that quantum door, clear, powerful, free, aligned, deeply connected to purpose, guided by faith instead of fear. That version of you is not waiting for the world to change. That version of you is waiting for you to change, to release, to trust, to allow, to open your hands and your heart to everything that is ready to arrive once you stop gripping the things that were only meant to be temporary. And when you finally let go, not halfway, not with hesitation, but with full awareness and full acceptance, you will feel the shift. You will feel the moment the universe whispers, "Now." You will feel the space inside you clearing for something greater, and you will feel the door open, silently, gently, but unmistakably, inviting you into a timeline that was always meant for you. Letting go is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of the chapter where you finally rise.